The Naruto series is legendary because of its legendary protagonist, the boy who never stops believing. The gutsy screw-up ninja who can only ever screw up, decides to screw up the bad guy's plans and save the day. He doesn't get the girl, but he gets a girl, and that girl helps him make the sequel nobody asked for, though we still love it anyway. Mostly. The Naruto series sees growth from our main character and growth from every other character, each unique, drawn from Naruto himself. You know what that makes me want to do? It makes me want to absolutely remove Naruto from the plot entirely. What will happen without Naruto being there? Will the world simply end? Will someone else take up his mantle? What happens to the Naruto world without Naruto? That's what I want to know, and that's what we're gonna learn. So strap yourselves in and grab a small box of M&Ms to pour into a large box of M&Ms, and let's get started. Welcome to the Amagi. Only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you are subscribed, and with that out of the way, let's get into the video. What would be the most noticeable change, you may ask? Well, if Naruto is never born, then does that mean that Minato and Kushina never die? I'm tempted to say yes. But then if that happened, we'd never get the chance to actually see what Naruto's world is like without him, because then it would just be what if Naruto's parents lived and didn't have babies, and I'm sure you don't want to see that what if. Wait, you do? Well, I guess I can holster it for later. But for now, we're going to go a different path, because we need to know what it's like for a world without Naruto. And so let's begin with the concept he was conceived but never gets to truly live. And this begins all one night where the Hokage and his wife are expecting joy to come into their lives, but instead only tragedy arrives at their doorstep. As the Hokage stood there attempting to keep a seal on the beast within her, Kushina cries out into the darkness of the night, pouring every ounce of her strength, her heart, her very soul into delivering into this world a new life. As Biwako stands south of the hemisphere, ready to catch the infant, she sees the crown followed by the rest of the child, which she gently coaxes out. Like any great doctor, she snips the umbilical, since Daddy obviously has his hands tied up currently, and holds the baby and slaps its rear to force a drawing of breath. But nothing. Nothing happens. The shock is visible on Biwako's face. Even Minato's gaze turns, though Kushina had yet to be asked anything as she was still reeling in pain. Grabbing her bearings, hoping to soon close off any escape for the Ninetales. A sudden half-sigh to focus her nerves into a sharper form, Biwako lays the baby down on the table and raises its chin up before grabbing something to once again try to suck any blockage out of its throat. Trying again, she spanks the baby just a bit harder, hoping the sting registers, but the baby doesn't react. At this point, Kushina is starting to notice. "Where's Naruto?" she asks. "Give me a sec, dear," Biwako says. Minato's face is pale, twisted in fear. She'd never seen the Hokage like this before. None of them had. This was the first time he ever seemed scared, and he wasn't even on the battlefield. Biwako places her ear against the infant's chest to listen for a sound. There was nothing. She looks back at the other nurses. "Get Naruto to the other room." "What's going on?" Kushina demanded to know. Biwako looked over Kushina's knees. "Don't panic. Your child's unresponsive. This isn't the first time I've seen this though. Let us work." They take the child up and rush off with him to another room. "Minato!" Kushina cries out with a new pain in her voice. Minato, running his hand through his hair, his breathing intense, tried to formulate any sort of words, action, or even basic thought, but he was coming up blank. His mind was in shock and he didn't know how to get back together. He was frozen. "Minato!" Kushina shouted. "Do something!" Do what? "What do I do?" he asked. Kushina had no answer for him. "You let me do what I do," Biwako said with a strong and stern voice. "This is not the time to panic. This is why you stay here," she said as they left the room with the baby. Minato walked the floor, stepping to the door to look outside and watch where they were going. "Oh my, what have I stepped into?" an unfamiliar voice spoke. Minato turned around to see a masked man standing there, a kunai to Kushina's throat. Minato once more was left unable to move. "I suppose it doesn't really matter. I think I'll be taking your wife now, however," he said. Before Minato could react, the man was gone. This was only the beginning of woes, as not much longer after the masked man left did Minato give chase. The Ninetales was released, and with it Kushina also perished. The child was unable to be revived and the village was slowly being decimated by the Ninetales. This happy event had suddenly turned into a slaughter, and the only one who could stop it now was Minato. During their great battle, the Ninetales would eventually be sealed away by Minato, sealed into his own body and taken with him into the stomach of the Shinigami. This was tragic. He knew how important the Ninetales was to the village, but he couldn't let it destroy it. Priority was given to preserving Konoha now, as opposed to the future that may not come to be without immediate action. So, utilizing the Reaper Death Seal, Minato sealed the Ninetales into himself, and then both were sealed inside of the Shinigami, and that was the end of an era. The death of a legend and the removal of Konoha's greatest weapon. When Hiruzen and his team found the body of Minato, they immediately knew the truth when they saw the seal formed on his abdomen. "The Reaper Death Seal," Hiruzen said. One of the shinobi behind him then spoke. "But if he used the Reaper Death Seal, then the Ninetales is gone." Hiruzen looked back at those in his presence. "I swear you all now to an oath, under threat of a traitor's death. You shall never speak of this to anyone. The Ninetales is still in Konoha, and has been sealed into a hidden individual. Do you understand?" he asked. They nodded their heads nervously. Hiruzen needed to keep this secret under tight grip. This couldn't leak out. If it got out that Konoha's greatest weapon was lost to them, war was on the horizon. And so the whole thing was hidden under lock and key, the clearance for this secret being the highest possible, Kage level, a real for your eyes only type secret. And that was the end of it. Years passed, and Konoha faced tragedy after tragedy, all due to what could be seen as poor leadership under Hiruzen. The Hyuga affair nearly led to the Fourth Shinobi World War, and then after that, there was the incident with the Uchiha too. The eradication of one of Konoha's greatest families was a heavy burden hanging over all of them, and now only one from that clan remained. Enter Sasuke Uchiha, the main character of the series that would later become known as Sasuke and Sasuke Shippuden. Well, maybe not Sasuke Shippuden. Pretty sure Shippuden is a reference to Naruto, but all the same, Sasuke becomes the focus of the story. Consumed by hatred and the need for revenge, Sasuke ends up partaking in the academy, where he passes with flying colors. With Sakura and him forming a team along with one another, training under Kakashi, who tests their teamwork together just to see if they're able to do it. After failing the first time, Kakashi spills the beans and tells them exactly what the test is supposed to be about, giving them absolutely no excuse not to do it. The second time around, they formulate a plan of attack and, while still failing, manage to impress Kakashi enough that he chooses to take them on. From here, they begin to do odd missions around the village, doing this for a good number of months, never going to the Land of Waves as that mission was only ever given to them due to Naruto's moaning. Instead, they continue doing absolutely nothing until the Chunin exams come around. Due to never going on any missions, you can be certain that Team 7 is not given the chance to become Chunin. Unable to impress Kakashi enough with their skill, they're relegated to just watching, hoping that they might learn something. The exhibition matches are where everyone grows interested. They watch Lee versus Gaara as well as the other matches, and mostly things don't change. Gaara still cripples Lee. It's through watching this that Sasuke realizes just how behind he is. He had thought that he was the one that was above everyone, that he was pushing the limits of what it meant to be a Genin. But to see these others who are still technically Genin suddenly moving at speeds his Sharingan couldn't even see, to see them facing off in such a brutal manner, having abilities that either had no settings to regulate their power, being everything or nothing, or worse, having a personality that simply craved violence in a way that brought up some very unexpected traumatic responses from him, Sasuke began to feel inadequate. And this was all in line with the desires of Orochimaru. Having kept his eyes on Sasuke due to craving to take his body for himself, during the month off between the matches, Orochimaru would approach Sasuke under disguise before suddenly attacking him, biting him in the neck. Sasuke collapsed in pain and confusion. What? Feeling the blood on his neck, he checked the wound with his hand, only for Orochimaru to explain what he had just done. "This will see if you're truly compatible," he said. "If you are, you may do well to seek me out for greater strength. Strength enough to kill your brother, perhaps. I suppose only time will tell." Orochimaru disappeared. It was at about that time that Sakura came around the corner and found Sasuke laying there. Rushing to his side, she checked the wound. "What happened?" "Some guy bit me," he said. "Bit you?" Suddenly, Sasuke's consciousness failed him as he fell against Sakura's shoulder. "Sasuke!" she cried, catching him in her arms. She sought out Kakashi, who would deliver Sasuke to the hospital to stabilize him. with Anko Mitarashi showing up to confirm what the mark on Sasuke's neck was. But would Orochimaru really risk returning to Konoha just to collect Sasuke? Something doesn't seem right, Kakashi said. I know, but we have to understand that Orochimaru isn't normal. It's very likely that he's just using this all as an excuse to get close to Sasuke somehow, and now he's got his teeth in him. If Sasuke wakes up from this, he'll be branded as a target by Orochimaru for the rest of his days. The only reason why I'm still me now is because Orochimaru decided he didn't want anything to do with me. But I know Sasuke is going to be different. You need to take extra steps to protect him. Kakashi nodded in understanding. He seals up the mark so it doesn't take over Sasuke involuntarily. Sasuke would eventually wake up, but during that time, the words of Orochimaru ring through his head. This is only made worse by Kakashi and Anko warning Sasuke about the dangers of Orochimaru. Sasuke understands that, but he can't help but wonder. With all of the others as strong as they are, Sasuke craves to be just as strong, if not stronger. How will he ever be able to defeat his brother without this power? And so he makes the personal request that Kakashi teach him. Kakashi, thinking that this is a silent plea from Sasuke who's facing some form of temptation, wishes to show Sasuke how the power he can gain in Konoha is adequate. So they go off for a month to train and grow stronger. Kakashi even teaches him his own special technique, the Chidori. This power impresses Sasuke. Continuing to train, they eventually return to Konoha a bit later than usual, only to find that it's been severely damaged. Questioning what's happened, they're told that Orochimaru attacked the village and killed the Hokage. Finding Sakura in the hospital, Sasuke rushes to her and asks if she's okay. She mentions the One Tail and its assault on the village, the shinobi of the sand and sound teaming up, and Orochimaru killing Hiruzen. Due to the mass casualties and grave wounds, as well as the lack of Hokage, they decide to send someone out to find Tsunade, who is the best fit for getting Konoha back on track. Not only is she one of the strongest shinobi in the village's modern time, she's also a doctor and can help nurse the wounded village and its people back to health. And so Sasuke and Jiraiya go out to recruit Tsunade. But as they travel, they encounter Kisame and Itachi, who are there to inquire about the Nine Tails. Upon seeing Itachi, Sasuke rushes him with Chidori, only to be grabbed and tossed to the side as though he were nothing more than a toy. This defeat throws Sasuke deeper into despair, realizing that even with as much training and progress as he's made, he'll never be able to catch up to Itachi. Not like this. Eventually, Sasuke and Jiraiya find Tsunade, only to find out that she's meeting with Orochimaru, planning to kill him. Jiraiya and Sasuke attempt to help. However, Orochimaru isn't working alone. Kabuto appears before them and Sasuke decides to take him. He's amazed with how strong Kabuto is and is only barely able to defeat him by piercing his heart with a Chidori. Orochimaru continues his fight with Jiraiya and Tsunade and manages to nearly beat him. Sasuke is shocked by Orochimaru's strength. Even Itachi fled in the face of Jiraiya, and this man has Jiraiya on the run. Not him only, but Tsunade too. Orochimaru decides to flee, knowing he'll gain nothing here, though before leaving he looks right at Sasuke and smiles, offering a wink like some salesman looking to get Sasuke a smokin' hot deal on a fresh scam. Due to Jiraiya helping her out, Tsunade decides to come and heal in Konoha as a doctor, but refuses the role of Hokage, leading to Danzo being selected instead. Tsunade heals Sakura and Lee, as well as many other shinobi harmed during the events of the Chunin exams and the terrorist attack thereafter. But during the events that transpired afterward, Sasuke was left in his apartment to wonder about the pace at which he was growing, or more like the rate at which he was getting left behind. How long would it take him to catch Itachi, if that were something he could even do anymore? For so long he trained, and he did so looking at his own progress he was making. He had been so proud. Going to the academy and seeing that there was absolutely nobody who could compare to him in any way, shape, or form, and now finding out that his class was nothing but scrubs. And now Sasuke himself isn't even at the standard level. It was a soul-crushing moment to realize that all of his hard work had led him nowhere, that he wasn't gifted, that he wasn't worthy. Why Itachi had chosen him was still a question. Sasuke's dream was now further away than it had ever been, and that was only growing further still. He was on the edge of a breakdown, the stress and disappointment eating away at him. He wanted to scream, to trash his room, and you know what? That's exactly what he did. Kicking a hole into the wood of his cabinets, ripping the drawers out, clothes spilling on the ground, smashing lamps and flipping his mattress off his bed. He sat there, breathing intensely from the exertion. Kneeling down, he began to cry, as though he were having a panic attack. That's when words were spoken. Sasuke's eyes widened. Looking back, he saw a figure like the Grim Reaper standing in the doorway to his balcony. Pale as the moonlight, the young man bearing a bone blade in his hand spoke. "I can see you're busy redecorating, but I wanted to pass a message along from my master. He says, are you ready to actually become strong yet?" Sasuke turned around. He knew who he was talking about. Instinctively, he reached back to the curse mark on his shoulder. "You need power, and that's what my master offers you. In return, all he asks is to possess the ability to observe you as he may. The power to surpass every shinobi in the village, to surpass the Hokage, to surpass the Sannin, to surpass Itachi. And all you have to do is say yes." Every point of his common sense was shouting all at once that this was a horrible idea, and that all this would do was lead to his own demise, but he was desperate. Screw what Kakashi said. Screw what Anko said. Screw what Jiraiya and Tsunade said. Screw the village and its leaders and all those within it. He had a dream, and that dream would be impossible unless something changed. And if the village could not offer what he was looking for, what was the point in him even staying there anymore? Taking Kimimara's hand, he spoke. "Please, I need to become strong." Kimimaro smiled. "Then follow me." Taking Sasuke out, they prepared to leave the village. Sakura spotted this and called out for them to stop, but they didn't. Escaping the village, Kimimaro told Sasuke that the seed of power had already been planted inside of him, and that all they needed to do was wake it up. And so, he removed from Sasuke's shoulder the evil sealing mark that Kakashi had placed on the curse mark. Immediately, Sasuke felt it and fell to his knees. Kimimaro knelt down by him and offered some medication. "Take this," he said. "To help with the pain?" Sasuke asked. Kimimaro shook his head. "To make it worse." Sasuke's eyes widened. "Huh?" "Strength comes at a price, and this is the beginning of it. Agony for a short period, power forever. Now swallow it." Sasuke, before he had the chance to think better of it, grabbed the capsule and swallowed it whole. As he doubled over in pain, Kimimaro sealed him into a vessel to help him while his mark evolved into its final form. With that, the Sound Four began to make their way off. Sakura would rush off to gather as much help as she could, letting Kakashi know, as well as picking up friends and the skilled shinobi she saw during the Chunin exams. This included the recently recovered Rock Lee. Together they left to give chase. Through the night they ran, each of the members of Sakura's team peeling off to help her push through. If anyone could bring Sasuke home, it was Sakura. Choji separated from the group to fight Jirobo. Neji separated to fight Kidomaru. Shikamaru left to fight Toyuya, and finally Kiba and Akamaru separated from the team to face Sakon and Ukon, leaving only Lee and Sakura to move forward. Eventually, Kimimaro knew that there was no way they'd get away. He hoped that Sasuke could handle the pain, and so he awakened him from his slumber early. Sasuke came out of the jar with a cry. Kimimaro spoke. "Sasuke, you need to run." "It hurts," Sasuke said. Kimimaro grunted. He transformed into his second stage curse mark form, his chakra levels increasing by at least tenfold. He felt the strain on his ill body, pushing him even closer to death. "If you want this power, Sasuke, then you need to forget your pain right now and run. Rage into the night. Nothing stops you, right? Not even Itachi, not even your own limits. If that's true, and you're not all talk, then get your ass up and run. As far and as hard as you can go, or you lose everything." Sasuke managed to stand, body twitching, aching, burning, as though he were on fire or being shocked by electric current. "Go!" Kimimaro shouted. Sasuke took off, dashing into the woods. Kimimaro let off a cough, which saw blood drip from his mouth. It felt as though his lungs were collapsing. His end wasn't very far from now. All he could do was stall for time. "This is for you, Master Orochimaru," he said. Turning behind him, he saw Lee and Sakura arriving. Lee stopped. He whispered something into Sakura's ear. She ran off around Kimimaro while Lee approached, the wind blowing, the night air carrying the light of the moon farther, the grass seeming to turn white with each gust of wind. "Hold nothing back," Kimimaro spoke. Sakura ran beyond, chasing Sasuke down until they reached the Valley of the End. There stood the statues of Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, and by the bank of the river sat Sasuke on his hands and knees, his hands grasping into the dirt, his body covered in seemingly burning marks. He looked like he was in pain. "Sasuke," she said. She drew closer. Coming to his side, she spoke. "What have they done to you?" He pushed her into the water. "Leave me alone," he said as he stumbled to his feet, stepping out across the water with his chakra, which was already unstable, barely keeping him afloat. To some degree, Sasuke wanted to plunge into the water, hoping that maybe the cold water would cool this burn, but instead he decided to march on. "Wait," she called out to him, walking toward him. "Why are you leaving? I don't get it." "I can't stop. I can't stop," he said, each sentence veiled by heavy breathing. "I must surpass him. I can't stop. I need to get stronger, stronger than you, than Lee, than Neji, than everyone in the village. It's not enough. I need more. I can't lose this," he said. She reached out to touch him, quickly pulling her hand back when she felt the burn. She was shocked by this pain. How was Sasuke even standing? It felt as though he was on fire. How was he even alive at this point? He looked back at her, his Sharingan burning bright, 3 tomoe each. "I won't be stopped. Go home." And in that moment, she was cast under Genjutsu. Sasuke fled into the darkness. Elsewhere, the battle had come to an end, and Kimimaro was the victor. Lee lay in the grass, his body perforated by at least 5 different bone daggers. Kimimaro stood there panting, gasping for air. He stumbled into the nearby forests where he could be alone. Finding a place to sit, he looked up into the treetops to see the barely covered moon. Looking down at his hand, he saw his body was vastly different than it once had been. He had become a monster, a truly powerful being, a machine of war, a living weapon without peer. His ancestors would have been so proud of him, but at this point, he didn't care about any of that. It was melancholic to think about where he had been, the innocence lost, how small alabaster hands once reached out for a mother's fingers, now gripped the handle of a bloodied blade. His people had thought that this is what it meant to be alive, but having new perspective, Kimimaro wished in some aspects that he had lived a normal life, one without Kekkei Genkai, without fighting or sickness. A life as a farmer would have been nice, but what you wanted to be and what you were 2 totally different things. He surmised in these final moments that his attachment to Orochimaru was in a hope to find a family of his own after his entire clan was destroyed in a stupid, meaningless raid. As he rested his head against the tree, he took a deep breath and felt it hitch in his chest. Asphyxiation was coming soon. At about that time, Toyuya, Sakon, and Ukon appeared nearby. Kimimaro looked up at them. "Status report," he said weakly. Toyuya spoke up. "I killed my target, as did Sakon and Ukon. No word from Kitamaru nor Jirobo. We can only assume the worst." Kimimaro nodded. "I understand," he said. Laying his tired head back again, he breathed in deep as best he could and let out a cough that saw blood flow along with it. None of his teammates seemed surprised, nor did they cringe. Kimimaro's eyes weakly opened and looked to them. "Can I just ask a question?" "What is it?" Toyuya asked. "In your opinion, would you say I was a worthy head to the team? Did I ever please Lord Orochimaru? Do you think he would be pleased with me now?" Toyuya knelt down by Kimimaro, her hand slipping into his, taking it tightly in her own. "You were the best leader we could ever ask for. No stronger shinobi exists under Lord Orochimaru. Not even Kabuto. You would have been his top choice for vessel had you not been sick. Even then, Orochimaru attempted to find a cure. You meant enough for him to try. You were special to him. I have no doubt that if he were here right now, he would tell you that you've done him a great service, and would probably bid you to rest now, saying you've done enough." "I don't wish to salt the moment by words of weakness," Kimimaro said. "I just thought that you should know. I always wanted a family, and to me, you guys were that. I'm glad I spared you all that day. No better friends could I have had, save misfits who know the kind of pain I've gone through," he said. There was silence a bit longer, making them question if he had passed on, but he spoke once more. "Don't let Konoha take my body," he said. "Burn me to ash and scatter me to the cold blue waves, freed to swim the stream. Let this koi become a dragon." Toyuya nodded her head, as did Sakon and Ukon. Kimimaro let out a smile one last time, along with a troubled wheeze before it all came to a crashing halt. Every biological function. Then and there, he passed on. Toyuya let Sakon and Ukon collect the body. Bringing him to the Valley of the End, they saw Sakura still floating in the water. Sasuke had taken care of her. They could sense that she wasn't dead, but decided that if Sasuke didn't feel the urge to end her life, they couldn't either. And so, bringing Kimimaro to the bank, they couldn't let Konoha discover the secrets of what Kimimaru's body held. And so, with fire style and earth style, they created a dome-like furnace of clay and used fire style to incinerate his body in a matter of minutes. With it turned to dust, they then gathered the dust and any bone fragments that remained and fulfilled his final request, laying him to rest in the flowing water of the river. The Kaguya clan was now officially extinct. Despite being trained killers, Toyuya, Sakon, and Ukon all felt some form of remorse for this, but it couldn't last long. They needed to escape before Konoha forces caught up. Kakashi would eventually find Sakura and pull her from the water. Recognizing the smell of burnt remains, he noticed what was left of a cremation ceremony. One of their allies must have died and was taken care of in the way that shinobi did. It was customary to dismember the body and destroy it then and there to hide secrets. And even if this sound four he was told of were nothing more than kids, he had to admit that they were true shinobi through and through. Looking down at Sakura, he felt within his heart a pain, knowing that he had lost one of his students today, but he still felt blessed to have Sakura. Come on, let's get you home. And that's where I'm gonna pause for today. I can't lie, right there at the end, I think Kimimaro stole the show. I don't know, I just find him to be such an interesting character. His Kekai Genkai is one of the more impressive techniques in the series so far. Honestly, it makes me think that I'd like to make a what if surrounding Kimimaro. Seems like someone asked me for one where he didn't die once. Yes, I do pay attention to your requests. I read the comments section, but yeah, maybe I'll do that. Expect that one in a week or two, I suppose. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Be sure to ring that bell to be notified when the next part of this and/or the video about Kimimaro comes out. Until then, peace out.